Well, greetings and salutations from Petaluma, California again. This is the Midnight Skeptic. Let me do some adjusting of the microphone here. Okay. Um, Regaling all of my listeners out there again with my weekly rant, which will be broadcast this coming Sunday, the 11th, at the usual time, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which means midnight back on the East Coast. And we can be heard worldwide at kpca.fm. And then locally here in Sonoma County at 103.3 FM. And then as soon as I get done doing this rant, I'll download it to YouTube so you can watch the Midnight Skeptic do his thing as well as listen to him. And that's going to be done as soon as possible. Okay, today is Wednesday, the 8th. Is it the 8th? No, it's the 7th. Excuse me. Man, my desk calendar, I've screwed it up. But it's the 7th, Wednesday, and right now it's about 20 minutes after 2 o'clock. Well, the time goes by whether we want it to or not. 96 days till we vote in November and vote in a brand new administration, the Harris-Walz, not waltz as in the dance, but W-A-L-Z. He's a good man, and I will be talking about him a little bit later in this show. And in my own small way, meaning this broadcast, I'm trying to rid this country of all Republicans, conservatives, GOP MAGA heads, and I hope I'm successful, but they're going to hang around whether we want them to or not. It used to be that conservatives was just a political viewpoint, which, you could discuss issues with conservatives. Nowadays, they have just been sucked down the orange sociopathic bloat bags rabbit hole. And anyway, here is my play-in music. You are listening to KPCA LP, Petaluma, California, at 103.3 FM and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. And this is the Midnight Skeptic. The views of the Midnight Skeptic are not, repeat, not necessarily the views of KPCA or any of its affiliates. Okay, that was my play-in music, and on a couple of shows I've actually forgotten to play it. And so you shouldn't feel deprived when I forget to do that. I've had a comment or two or three on YouTube comments that they like the good news, bad news format of the show, so I will continue it. I've been doing it that way for, about 3 years now. And did I mention again that I'm one of the originals at KPCA? Petaluma Community Access has been around for quite a while, and they have television stations, and they televise planning commission meetings and such things, not just in Petaluma, which we do, but the smaller communities around here, Katati and Roanoke Park, and I think Sebastopol, we televise their planning meetings and other commissions. So, anyway, they did that for a long time, and then 7 years ago, somebody down at Petaluma Community Access came up with the idea of starting a radio station. Well, my son, who was living here on and off then, and rooming with three other of his buddies who were into their music and everything. In fact, my son had a pirate radio station transmitting out of our garage for a while, and he even had some live music there and a live comedy show. He did that 3 or 4 times out of our garage. And anyway, he came and said, "Hey, Dad, they're starting up a radio station at Petaluma Community Access," which their studios are downtown Petaluma here. And so I went with him and sat in. There was about 20 to 25 of us there, 5 or 6 of his friends who viewed themselves as DJs and wanted to start a show of their own. So Rob Tomaszewski, who is currently the station manager, was there, kind of the organizing guy who walked around with a clipboard and asked us all what we wanted to do on our hour or maybe 2 that we were assigned. And he came around to me eventually and said, "Well, what do you want to do?" And well, I don't see myself as a DJ. I like music, but I'm not really into any particular genre of music, or don't know how to spin vinyl properly. So I said, "Well, I could do a talk show." And then he said, "Well, what do you want to call it?" Okay, I had to, on the spur of the moment, come up with a name, and Midnight Skeptic popped into my head because I was then, and I still am, a skeptic when it comes to things like UFOs, ghosts, crop circles, Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, psychics, and all of that malarkey. Although my show has evolved into more of a political rant, that's what I told him at that time, and he wrote my name down and contact information and all that, and said okay. And well, I wasn't assigned 9 o'clock on Sunday at that time. I had another time slot, and but it's evolved. Let's just say that. And we originally had to go down to the radio station and do our show from there. And I'm presented with this electronic keyboard full of, toggle switches and all sorts of stuff that I didn't understand at all, and I still don't. But my son does. And so he showed me how to do all of these things, and then Rob Tomaszewski showed me how to do them all too. And there's only about 3 or 4 of these sliders that I need to know. The rest are just can be preset. Anyway, so I did about a year and a half's worth of shows from KPCA down at Petaluma Community Access. And then eventually they got to the point where they could accept pre-recorded shows from externally to Petaluma Community Access. And so my son, Dennis, my technological savior, showed me how to set up well, what I'm doing right now. He showed me how to set this up and how to download it to KPCA, to their computer, who goes from there and then puts it on the radio at the correct time and everything. And I don't want to know anything about that. It just gets done. And so, well, here I am. 7 years later, I'm still doing this, still ranting, and my levels of stress are way down. I'm never very stressful anyway, but this is a great way to just get it out of my system. And the it is stress and anger. I'm not an angry person anyway. I laugh at most things, except I do tend to get angry with the orange sociopathic bloat bag. Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, shout outs. Okay, as always, I start with Project Censored, and the three dudes that keep it going were sort of the founders of it. And it started at Sonoma State, and I'm forgetting the professor's name. He's since retired, and he was just down the hall from the history department where I hung out because I went back to Sonoma State to get my master's in history, and oh geez, what was his name? Anyway, doesn't matter. Mickey Huff, who is a history professor over at Diablo Valley College. Nolan Higdon, who is a history professor over at California State East Bay. And Andy Lee Roth, who is a professor at UC Santa Cruz. Those three guys come out every year with a book entitled The State of the Free Press, whatever year it is. The next one is 2025, and it's at the printers now. The one that you can order, and I encourage you all to do it, is The State of the Free Press 2024. And go to their website and sign up for their newsletter. It's chock-a-block full of interesting information. Okay, and John Crowley at the Aquas Cafe, who has created a sort of a community at the Aquas Cafe. That's on the corner of H and 2nd Avenue in the warehouse district here in Petaluma. And artists, poets, writers, other nonprofits meet there. 2 weeks ago, I went to a Thursday meeting of retired educators, and it was nice. I met some people that I hadn't ever met before. I was hoping to see some of the retired teachers from Casa Grande High School and Petaluma High School that I had met and known through my private tutoring, but they didn't show up. But it was fun anyway. And then every 2 or 3 months, they have a gathering of psychotherapists here in Petaluma. They come out of the woodwork. Ooh. And it's called Drinks with Shrinks. And they, analyze each other, make therapy jokes, I guess. Anyway, I went to one of them, and I was hoping to see a couple of therapists that I had become acquainted with over these many years here in Petaluma, but they didn't show up either. But there were some interesting people that I met there. Okay, Okay, that was John Crowley. And Tom Gaffey, the godfather of the Phoenix Theater here in Petaluma, which is kind of the hangout place for alternative teens. And on weekends, they play music which leans toward the metal and grunge genres of music. Okay, Ralph Scott, who is the godfather of Squeaky Cheese Productions, LLC, Limited Liability Corporation. And I had a brain freeze on my last show about what you call what he does. He and his crew of thespians do audio books. And he has, I don't know where he exactly does it now, but he does that. And how I got to meet him, he was the moving force behind the Petaluma Radio Players, which group of, again, thespians recreated radio plays and sometimes put them on live. A couple of times we did it at the Hotel Petaluma downtown. And it was fun. I enjoyed doing it. And I don't consider myself a thespian, but I did my part and helped them thrive, I guess you could say, until the COVID came along and kind of we disbanded. And it's not been able to be resurrected yet. Okay, but maybe, who knows? Okay. And Nariman, he and I used to play basketball together in the early 80s down at the Mill Valley Middle School on their adult basketball nights. He was one of the founders of Xandex, Xandex. They are a quality control company for chips, and I'm a low-tech guy. I don't know how they do it or who hires them to do it, but I think he's retired now. He was on vacation for a while, but anyway, welcome back, Nariman. We should gather for another glass of wine downtown one of these days. Tim Conrad, who was in my high school class up in Sonora. He worked for Petaluma, not Petaluma, but Sonoma County Child Protective Services, and retired from them, and was always a good photographer, and has shown some of his works at some of our local galleries. Okay, locally, Dave and Rosita Takach up in Sacramento, Kevin and Lori in Cotati, and Rich and Kathy Berger over in Sebastopol. Let's see. I'm doing this without my notes, and I'm proud of myself for doing it as well as I've done it so far. Okay. Dennis and Megan in Tiburon, Yvonne and Rick in San Francisco, Stan and Kathy in Pacifica. Stan is the retired city attorney of Daly City, and he and I get together every now and then for a game afternoon with some other of our friends. But Stan is one of the most intelligent guys I've ever known or met or, played games with. Okay. Aunt Jackie and her two daughters, Samantha and Melanie. Melanie is now living in Austin, Texas. My brother Brandon and his wife Mina in the Santan Valley of Arizona, and their daughter Andrea, who's a nurse down there, and her husband, who's a retired Marine, Tim, and their three little boys. This snake lady in Patagonia, Arizona, I jokingly call her that. She's an animal control officer. But if you need to get a snake removed from your house, she's the one to call. Um, Arkansas, Shannon Reed. Florida, Nelson and Alice. Nelson and Alice are in the Sarasota area. Boy, I hope they weren't hit directly by Hurricane Debbie. Wow. They were right in the middle of the eye. And then on the other side of Florida, Amelia Beamer. Check her out on YouTube. She is the face of Locus Magazine on YouTube. And Locus Magazine, they're over in Oakland in the East Bay, near here, but she's over in Florida. And she lets her viewers know which books are being reviewed by Locus Magazine of the three genres: science fiction, horror, and fantasy. And then up the coast a ways to the Raleigh-Durham area, which also got hit by Hurricane Debbie. Dr. Dave, who is the world's finest pulmonary physician, who is retired and is in art now. He does painting and found objects displays. I don't know what you call those things. Found objects. Anyway, and he's showing his works at the Lost Artists Collective up in Chicago now. I think he might be back by now. But further on up, Long Island, Geraldine Goldfinger. And then back on the West Coast here, in Sonora, Robert Finnegan, Bob and Sandy Fisher, and their two children, Brad and Martha. Darl Larson, Sonora High's Bronc Rider. Judy May, Kathy Francis, Lynn Quayle. And then further up, Highway 108, John Gleason. And his two daughters, Tiffany and Jennifer, neither of which live up there with him, I think. But I don't know where they live right now. But down in Mexico City, Rosamalia Lopez Negrete. Okay, that's my shout outs. And we can get to the meat of this rant right now after I sip. Okay, great news. Governor Tim Walz, W-A-L-Z, he is a veteran. He is a retired from the Minnesota National Guard after 24 years, and he got out as a sergeant major. Okay. He was a high school social studies teacher and also its football coach for a while. I don't know the years around which he did that, but originally they were a winless high school team that he brought in a few years to the state championship. All right. He was born and raised in Nebraska, so he's a Midwest guy, salt of the earth, the heartland. Okay. He got a master's in experiential education from Minnesota State University. He was an early supporter of gay rights. He was the faculty advisor of the GSA Club. That's the Gay Straight Alliance. He got a free breakfast and lunch program passed in Minnesota. That's something that Republicans would just hate. The word free is, just not in their vocabulary. Let people fend for themselves. No taxpayer money spent on free meals for kids. Okay, there's my rant against the GOP MAGA heads. Okay. Ranting makes me need another sip of, this is milk and coffee mixture, by the way. Okay. Good and bad news. Combo. The IOC president, International Olympic Committee, Thomas Bach, said today that, quote unquote, hate speech directed at boxers Imane Khalif and Lin Yo Ting at the Paris Olympics is, quote, totally unacceptable, unquote. The IBA, the International Boxing Association, which is a Russian-dominated sports group, has disqualified both of them from their bouts, okay? But the IOC has disqualified the IBA from being the regulating entity for Olympic boxers, okay, because of shady dealings, just shady dealings with Russian leaders of the IBA, okay? So I'll have more to say about them and the hate speech, which is another word for Republicans. Okay, later in the show. Okay, bad news. Project 25, a dystopian plan for the United States. Paul Dans was the guiding light behind it. He is a Republican attorney and a graduate of University of Virginia Law School, and a member of the Orange Sociopathic Bloat Bag Administration. He is a member of the Heritage Foundation, which was the group that was behind Project 2025. And it lies to the public who goes on their website. They say they are building an America where freedom, opportunity, prosperity, and civil society flourish. If you're a WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Agenda 47, God, they sound so dictatorial. Agenda 47 is essentially the same as Project 2025 and is the Orange Sociopathic Bloat Bag's plan for what he's going to do when he is elected. Hopefully not. Okay? All right. Very good news. Massachusetts is considering House Bill 377, and it's a bill that would rein in and regulate so-called crisis pregnancy centers, which are creations of the sneaky, creepy Christians with deceptive advertising and would protect women's privacy. Crisis pregnancy centers are essentially places to convince pregnant women to not have abortions, no matter what's going on inside them. And they're all Christian run, and Christians who lie to get women to go there and be propagandized into their pro-life propaganda. Okay, all right, enough of that. Stupid bad news. On Tuesday, July 30th, on Fox Spew's program, The Five, Jesse Waters, what a snowflake, said that any man who votes for Kamala, quote, has mommy issues. Waters went on his unhinged tirade, quote, this is a struggle for pale, hairy, flabby California artists, and was saying, if you want to be accepted by women, you should vote for a woman. Jesse Waters, he's a guy that I wish would just slip on a banana peel and break a hip or something. Waters said he doesn't see why, quote, any man would vote for a Democrat. It's not the party of strength, virtue, or security. Definitely not the party of family. I went into this whole Republicans and manhood a little bit in last week's show. Jesse Waters, the epitome of masculinity. He went on. There's only 3 reasons a man would vote for a woman to be president just because she's a woman. No man, no guy that I know is voting for Kamala just because she's a woman. She's smart. She's powerful. She knows what she's doing. She's been serving as vice president. I don't know. Okay. These are the 3 reasons why only 3 reasons a man would vote for a woman to be president just because she's a woman. Okay. They're either childish, that person has mommy issues, or they're just trying to be accepted by other women. Quote, again, I heard the scientists, and he doesn't specify which scientist, and I don't believe him anyway. I heard the scientists say the other day that when a man votes for a woman, he actually transitions into a woman. What real scientist would say that? Well, they wouldn't. He's making it up, lying, or just is an idiot, or all 3. Okay. And the piece of garbage, Sebastian Gorka, a former advisor to the Orange Sociopathic Bloat Bag campaign, said about Kamala, and I can't imitate his accent very well. It's kind of a combination Hungarian-German accent. She's a disaster whose only qualification is having a vagina and the right skin color. She's a DEI hire, right? She's a woman. She's colored. Therefore, she's got to be good. Well, that was a bad imitation of Sebastian Gorka. He's another one that I wish would just step on a banana peel and slip and break his hip or something. Okay. Whew. Trying to imitate Sebastian Gorka's accent is thirst-inducing. Okay, good news. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer introduced a bill Thursday, uh, August 1st, reaffirming that presidents do not have immunity for criminal actions committed while in office. This would reverse the Supreme Court's ruling about the orange sociopathic bloat bag's immunity. Also, bills establishing the Supreme Court term limits. Yay! 18 years. And this one will never, ever pass. Establishing and enforcing ethics codes for the 9 justices have been called for by President Biden and Democrats. Boy, I botched writing this sentence down in my notes. Okay, an enforceable ethics code. It'll never get past Congress as long as there's Republicans in it. Okay, bad news. The orange sociopathic bloat bag is bringing up Kamala Harris's birth certificate again. He questioned her ability to run for president. She was born over here in Oakland. The MAGA followers and the orange sociopathic bloat bag worshippers are questioning Kamala's eligibility to be president because both of her parents were born outside the U.S. Doesn't matter. Okay. And we shouldn't even go on the defensive about those kind of accusations. The stupid-assed GOP MAGA heads will just prattle on about their birtherism. I guess the orange sociopathic bloat bag will have to send private investigators to Jamaica and India to check if Kamala was born in either of those countries. He claimed that he sent investigators to Hawaii back when Obama was running. He lied. He didn't send any investigators to Hawaii to check on Obama's birth certificate, but it got him on afternoon talk shows. Grumpy Trump will lie about anything and everything. Why didn't the mainstream media nip the birther movement in the bud back in 2012 and 2013 when the orange sociopathic bloat bag got it going? The Tea Party racists were the precursors to the MAGA heads that we're infested with today. Okay, good news. Hundreds of golf carts decked out in American flags and Harris for president rolled through the Villages, a Florida retirement community. And most of the residents of the Villages are registered Republicans and MAGA heads, and a number of them vote illegally too, like voting twice or 3 times. They are the ones that have been finally admonished for voting more than once in the 2020 election. They were the ones that the Republicans are worried about voting illegally. Not really. As long as you vote illegally more than once for a Republican, like the orange sociopathic bloat bag, it's okay with them. Okay, news, just news. Imani Khalif now is an Algerian boxer in the Olympics. She was born female, raised female, has female on her passport, but she has DSD, which is um, disorder of sexual development, and she does have XY chromosomes, which cause her to produce more testosterone. And the ignorant, stupid um, uh, MAGA heads and right wingers on Fox Spews are all in a tizzy about it. She is a woman. What brought all this on was the Italian boxer Angela Carini. After 48 seconds of their bout, quit and went to her corner, saying that it wasn't fair. Okay, and I will admit that Imani Khalif does look rather masculine, but she is a woman. And especially Fox News jumped on this. It's not a transgender issue. She's not transgender, okay? In fact, last year at the, she was disqualified from participating in the IBA last year, but in the previous Olympics, she lost to, other female boxers. Okay. I will revisit this a little bit. Who is the... okay. My notes, are, as usual, are a bit jumbled. Okay. Bad news. Black jobs, according to the Orange Sociopathic Bloat Bag, are, and this is a quote from him, anybody that has a job. And the Orange Sociopathic Bloat Bag's weird lapdog, Vancy, and I will be calling him that from now on, said about mental health, specifically Simone Biles' mental health at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. This is a quote from the Orange Sociopathic Bloat Bag's lapdog Vancy. Quote, "We've tried to turn a very tragic moment," meaning Simone Biles quitting the Olympic team, "into this act of heroism. I think it reflects pretty poorly on our sort of therapeutic society, that we try to praise people, not for moments of strength, not for moments of heroism, but for their weakest moments." Okay? Now, this is coming from the Orange Sociopathic Bloat Bag's weird lapdog Vancy. All right. I don't know. I'm out of riffing about what Vancy said. Okay. New topic. Good news. I found this on the internet. Science is the result of man's curiosity, and religion is the result of killing the curiosity of a child. Okay. I got to speed up here. Bad news from whining Republicans. Voter fraud is nearly non-existent, except for some MAGA heads in Florida's retirement community, the Villages. On average, the rate of voter fraud is 1 instance in every 300,000 ballots cast. So, for the 2020 election, the Orange Sociopathic Bloat Bag continues to whine about, there were about 4,000 fraudulent votes cast nationwide. An example, in 2022, the closest congressional race was Colorado's District 3, with about 327,000 votes cast. Statistically, we should have seen between 1 and 8 fraudulent ballots cast. That election was decided by more than 500 votes. Fraudulent voting is inconsequential. There is no large-scale ballot harvesting and few to none illegal or undocumented immigrants casting ballots. The orange sociopathic bloat bag lost the 2020 election to Joe Biden, and he hates the word lost when applied to him, but he did. Orange sociopathic bloat bag, i.e. Donald Trump, you are a loser. Okay. Okay. Good news. Oklahoma schools are in revolt over a state mandate to teach the Bible at all grade levels from 5th grade to 12th grade. It is to be incorporated into lesson plans. Ryan Walters, the state superintendent of education, or indoctrination, said educators who are against the initiative, quote, will comply, and I will use every means to make sure of it. And he goes on, quote, Oklahoma school districts are required by state law to teach the historical significance of the Bible. They aren't teaching it as a historical document. If they're teaching it, hopefully, according to him, as a means of proselytizing and bringing souls to Jesus. Rogue, and this is him going on, Ryan Walters, rogue left-wing activists, meaning teachers, who refuse can leave Oklahoma and go to California. Ouch. At least a dozen school districts in Oklahoma have stated publicly that they do not plan to comply. So the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, or the Torah do not have historical significance. Not if creepy Christians are listened to. Good news. Ukrainian female high jumper Yaroslava Mahuchik won gold for the event in Paris. Between jumps, she lays in a sleeping bag and meditates, or zones out, as she says. I just thought that would be a good thing to just bring up, bad news via so-called conservatives. First of all, these Olympics, there are no transgender or non-binary athletes participating. So GOP MAGA heads can relax a little bit. Not that they will, but they could. Gender and sexuality has been, for a while now, an obsession with Republicans, conservatives, MAGA heads, MAGA head haters, and creepy Christians. In their worldview, there should be a sharp division, black and white, between men and women. What's female and what's male? Guys play football and gals are cheerleaders, like God intended. This attitude is on full display on Fox Spews. All the females on Fox are preferably blonde, thin, wear skirts, not horror of horror pants. They, with some exceptions, remain relatively quiet and in the background. Successful female athletes make conservatives nervous. Now, the boxer Iman Khalif has come under scrutiny. She is from Algeria and is not transgender. The Italian boxer Angela Carina quit her match with 46 seconds into it, questioning the fairness. Iman, she does look somewhat masculine, but therein looms body shaming. Women come in all sizes and shapes, and world-class women athletes maybe are more muscular and maybe don't fit into the ideal female form. It is not the purpose of a woman to fit the Miss America mold, contrary to what creepy Christians, MAGA heads, and conservatives want. Serena Williams, Martina Navratilova, the U.S. Sevens rugby player Ilona Maher, and even Katie Ledecky have been questioned by conservative hate mongers. Ignorant, hateful Republicans and conservatives, this topic will gain votes from their ignorant, hateful base. Megyn Kelly I don't think she's still with Fox. She has her own program on some right-wing program, really went off on this Algerian boxer, Imani. She just went on and on. It was embarrassing listening to her. If it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, flies like a duck, well, it's a duck. It looks to her like Imani is a man. And that does not make her a man. She has been tested, and she is not transgender. Megyn Kelly, you are a right-wing hater. What has to happen? Does Roger Ailes have to sexually approach her for her to be considered a woman? All right. Good news to end the show. Michael Bloomberg, the former New York mayor, is donating to 4 historically black medical schools $600 million. Howard University, Morehouse, Charles Drew Medical School, Xavier University, that just started up a medical school. In 2022, only 6% of physicians in the United States were black, but 13% of the U.S. population is black. And he hopes to not have such a discrepancy in the future. He donated $1 billion to Johns Hopkins in July of this year. And so none of the Johns Hopkins medical students will have to pay tuition now. And on that good note, here's my play out music. You have been listening to The Midnight Skeptic on KPCA LP, Petaluma, California, And we're at 103.3 on the FM dial and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. Support community radio at patreon.com/Petaluma Community Access. And remember, think critically, think logically, but live joyously, and most importantly, pet your cats. It is extremely important to pet your cats. If you don't have one, adopt one from an animal shelter. Okay? And I will be doing this again next week. So until then, vote out all Republicans and go. Oh, jeez. Why a brain freeze? Go Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Okay. They will be our next president and vice president. Okay? Bye-bye.